What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Off the Bench. It is my pleasure to be joined by Coach Mike Kafka, currently New York Giants associate head coach, offensive coordinator, Northwestern grad, former NFL guy, and the head coach of the national team here, the Senior Bowl. Coach Kafka, what's going on, man?
Yeah, hello, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So head coach here at the Senior Bowl. And that's kind of what I wanted to start to pick your brain about, because obviously we're from Louisiana, so we cover the Saints and everything else. But the last couple of years, though, you've been doing a lot of these head coaching interviews, right? And you're a young coach right now. You're a head coach here in Mobile. Do you feel like this is helping you find your demeanor? Do you already kind of know what you want to be as a head coach? Like, what is this experience like in terms of furthering that goal?
Yeah, I'd say that's a great question. I think the best part about this is not necessarily about me, because I've played it at a high level in college, in the pros.
Yeah.
I've been in almost every seat as a player and a coach, with a quality control, position coach, coordinator. So that part of it's not as important to me as like just the players, getting those guys ready. I've been in those seats playing in senior games like this. Wasn't the Senior Bowl, I played the East-West game, but
yeah.
Similar atmosphere. And so I know what those guys are going through, know what those guys are sitting in those chairs, what's kind of racing through their mind a little bit. So I have that perspective. And so I think the most important part to me is just really getting to know these players, giving them confidence to like just go show who they are as a person, as a player, and really put their best foot forward in front of all these teams.
Well, it's crazy because, you are, like every kid, like you're saying, every kid is growing up with the dream of being in the NFL, and you're kind of the first person that's stewarding them into like, okay, this is what life is going to be like in the league. This is how the meeting rooms are going to operate. You're obviously very cognizant of that responsibility. So then what is the process like? Because here, you have a week, and I know the games, it's not like going to be super events. It's not like the game matters even as much as a practice or individual, but you still need to put a product out there on the field. Like, you have to have all these guys from disparate backgrounds who, when you call a play, they're going to line up. CQ exchange is going to be good, snap count, all that. So what's your process like in making that happen? And you're even with a bunch of different coaches. Yeah. So, like, how do you bring that all together in a few days?
Yeah, well, you get like you said, there's a bunch of different coaches from all over the NFL, position coaches, their assistants. This might be their first time in front of a room, coaching and presenting. So you're kind of wary of that as well. But I have great coordinators. I have trust in them to put together like the packages for the players. But what I try to stress in front of the team is like the details, like what's reality. If you're late for a meeting, what are the consequences? If you're late for the bus, what are the consequences? So you try to lay out those things out in front of them. So if they are in a situation like that, like they know what the expectations are. So that's really what I feel like my role is in this, is putting them in a nice plan, whether it's meeting schedule, practice plan, so that they can have a great evaluation, but then also showing them the details of here's what it's going to take when you get into a real-time meeting room for your organization. Here's what it's going to look like, here's what it's going to sound like, and here's what the expectations are.
So it's interesting. You're like preparing them for the kind of lifestyle rhythm of the NFL as much as the X's and O's.
College is over. Like that part of their life, they got to be able to turn the page, and like the NIL and all that goes into it. That is a different part of their life. Like, this is the page. If you want to be a competitor and you want to play in the National Football League, here's what it's going to look like.
Did you always know the NFL is going to be in your future? Because, like, looking at your playing career, 3 conference championships in high school, shout out. But that at Northwestern, right? Yeah. Like, not playing a lot until your senior year, but then kind of exploding on the scene. But when you were in college, were you ever like, man, I don't know?
Yeah, I'd say I'd always aspire to be a football, pro football player. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, you dreamt that as a kid. Yeah. I did that as well. And like, I think when the opportunity presented itself throughout my college career, like whether it was in high school, I didn't play quarterback until like pretty much my senior year full time. Then a bunch of scholarships came. I took advantage of that opportunity. Same thing in college. Like, I didn't have a lot of playing time early. Yeah. Started, got hurt. Then there was like, a period of time where we battled through some adversity. then I got an opportunity, took advantage of that opportunity. So I just would say my career has built upon, taking advantage of opportunities. And so now I'm in a position right now where I can show that to the players and give that message.
Well, and it's crazy you mentioned taking advantage of opportunities, because your rise in the coaching ranks is pretty insane. You get done in the NFL, it's 1 year as a GA in Northwestern, then all of a sudden you're on the Chiefs staff, but it's still, it's quality control, kind of like an NFL GA of sorts. But then, right, that's just 1 year, and then the next year you're the quarterback's coach. You're coaching Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid is your head coach. What do you feel like were your strengths, or what do you feel like allowed you to kind of have that sort of meteoric rise to the ranks?
I'd say, first off, like coaching quarterbacks for Coach Reid is probably like one of the greatest privileges I've ever had. Just the level of detail, the discipline, really all that goes into the quarterback position. It's a masterclass learning from Coach Reid. I was with him as a player, so I knew how he operated and what he wanted that position to look like. And then being able to come in a quality control role, see how that has developed over my my course of my playing career, and come back into the building in Kansas City, I knew what that looked like, and so it was just about getting back on the same page and working through all those things that Coach Reid, what his standards are and what our expectations are. And so for me, it was about delivering that message from the head coach and then applying it to the quarterback room.
And like you said, I mean, you're learning from the best at that point. It's like taking a master class from, multiple PhD guy. What, how much you feel like Coach Reid's affected, like how would you describe your coaching style?
I'd say Coach Reid was a pretty big influence on me as far as coaching style. I feel like I'd like to mirror that, and I aspire to be what Coach Reid is, and haven't been around him for 5, 6, really 8 years total, player and coach.
Yeah.
I just respect them so much that, when you respect guys like that, you try to imitate them to an extent. Not exactly, but you put your own twist on it, your own personality, and Coach Reid has certainly had a huge influence on me.
What is your kind of offensive philosophy when it comes to putting together what y'all kind of want your core principles to be?
I'd probably say just like one word, like surgical. That's what I think about when I'm thinking about offensive play, and that applies to everybody, the O-line, the quarterback, the receivers, tight ends, backs, the details that need to be applied to have a really efficient offense, effective offense, that all matters. So I think all of the work and all of the explosion or efficiency or production is because of having a surgical way of thinking.
And we know that you interviewed with the Saints recently, and I was wondering, just kind of like, because we talk about this team every day or whatever, give us kind of an outside perspective coming in to interview about the franchise and kind of the organization.
Yeah, it was very well run. Mickey and his staff, I mean, there were 5 or 6 guys in the room, and the first one was a Zoom, so just kind of get to know you. Pretty easy conversation, low level kind of philosophy stuff. Then you get, then we flew out a few days ago, and I was in New Orleans, and we were able to kind of sit face to face and talk about all of those principles and all those standards and your practice schedules and how you're going to respond to certain things throughout the year and the off season, in season, different players, your experiences. So it's very well rounded. It's a very
Are they just
interactive.
like hitting you with hypotheticals? Like, do you feel like you're a player on the whiteboard again?
No, there absolutely is an element of that. And everyone's different. Every interview I've been on has been different.
Yeah.
This one just happened to be a little bit more face to face and a little bit more details in terms of your scheduling, and just there are some scenarios they put you in and they want to see how you respond. Whether it's right or wrong, they want to see your answer and see how you got to that point.
Okay, so I guess last one here, and granted this may be a bit redundant because I feel like you did touch on some of this, but we're here in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. At the end of the week, what do you kind of look back on and be like, okay, I feel like I accomplished what I set out to do?
In the Senior Bowl, I think one of the 3 goals that I have is, the first one is just to get a great eval on the players, get to know these guys.
Yeah, the scouting portion, obviously. I guess that's why you're actually like here as well.
Yeah, like the second part of that would be just introducing these guys to the NFL language. So their execution, the way that they go out and play on Saturday, that's important to me. And then the third part is winning. Like, I came here to win. I want to win the game. I'm competitive. So putting these guys in a good position, I have ultimate trust in the coordinators, and then we're just going to go out there and have some fun.
Hell yes, dude. Coach Mike Kafka, kid, thank you enough for joining us, man.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Off the Bench next. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.